Hey, what's up, everyone? Adam here from The Freight. Hope everyone's doing awesome. I want to welcome everyone who's new here and all the returning friends as well. Of course, we want to welcome everybody. Um, this is a video that is a response to a really awesome vinyl tag that a newer channel, her name is Laura LaBranche, and it's called Sound of the Crate, and it's a really cool new channel. And she created an awesome set of questions that I wanted to respond to. That I've seen some great responses to in the vinyl community. Some videos. Alex over at Beer and Vinyl did one. Brandon and Mr. HOF did one. There's some others that did them too. Anyway, it's a great set of questions, and I think they're really personal questions. They're not so much it's how music relates to you on a very personal level, which I really like. So I thought that was really, it's a really sweet, honest vinyl tag that I was really happy to be a part of and discover her channel. And I've now followed her on Instagram. I forget what her Instagram handle is, but you can see it on her YouTube channel. She talks about it, so she shares records there as well. So anyway, always happy to talk about another VC channel. I'll link it in the description as well, so you can go over there and subscribe. And yeah, let's get right into the questions. Okay, they're a great set of questions that really, designed to get to know the person that you get to see on YouTube, which is I think is really cool. Anyway, so here we go. Show an album or two that takes you back to your childhood. All right, I have a couple here. The first one is this one. Now, it's not this exact copy, obviously. I think most of the ones I'm going to show probably aren't the exact copy that, I had, way back when. But this one, In Excess Kick, right? I can remember being, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And I have an older sister. She's like 7 years older than me, something like that. And she was cool, and she had all the music and her friends around and everything like that. And I was always the little pain in the ass running around bothering them. But there's a few records, and in particular, I remember this one being one that was always played, that was always on the turntable, that was always around, and it was always like in reachable distance, whether it was like on her floor or on her bed or on her like stand or whatever. Like it was always just in her room around. They were always listening to it. Classic album. Lots of great tunes on here. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. This is the Atlantic 75 version, which is great, by the way. But anyway, just remember this. One of my earliest sort of music memories is being a pain in the ass to my sister, and her having this around with all her friends and them listening to it very regularly. So that's my first one that takes me back to my childhood. The next one I actually found at my mother's house, no joke, probably 2 weeks ago. I think I did just a little post on Instagram about it. And maybe I don't know if I posted on Facebook or not, but I should have. I don't think I've talked about it on a video yet. But it is none other than my very first own personal vinyl record that I ever had in my life. And I remember getting it, and I remember having it, and I had this little BS 45 player that I had that played it in my room, and it was awesome. Me and my friend thought it was the coolest thing, and it is none other than Peter Cetera from the Karate Kid 2 soundtrack, The Glory of Love. This is the exact copy, as you can tell. I played it quite a bit when I was a kid. This thing has seen some plays. Talk about getting your money's worth. Here's the record. Well, let's see if I can spin it around. It's got some marks on it, right? It's got some hairlines, but I played it, I listened to it, and it brought me right back. What a song that is, anyway. Glory of Love, Karate Kid 2, what a movie. I just recently watched the Karate Kid series 1, 2, and 3 with my kids. Oh my God, what a joy that was. So anyway, there you go for two records that take you back to your childhood. Those certainly do. And the next one, number 2, show an album that you can assign show an album that you can assign as a pivotal record to apply to your formative teenage years. Okay, so there was so many things that I could have picked with this. I thought about the Beatles because in my formative teenage years, that's really when I was head over heels into the Beatles. It was, as far as my listening habits went, personally, the Beatles were what I was listening to, hugely, right? So I thought about that, and then I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about something that was broader for my whole kind of me personally, definitely, but also part of like my friends, the people I was around, what we were listening to in the car all the time. And I kept coming back to the Beastie Boys. Check Your Head in particular, I think this record, like, I can tell you every sound that's on this record, from every sample, from every guitar, from everything on this record. I can literally give you the sound and the lyric and everything. It's an incredible record. It's right up there, probably my favorite Beastie Boys record, but right up there. Love, love, love this record. And the Beastie Boys were huge. So let that come out 92, 93, something like that. And the Beastie Boys in general were, and hip hop really came up in the 90s. And I would say almost as much as grunge and alternative rock, if not more. We were listening to hip hop and we were listening to, Dre and Tupac and Nas and Wu Tang. All those things we were listening to. But the Beastie Boys, especially the place where I grew up called Quincy, huge, huge. There was two bands you were a fan of if you were from Quincy, The Clash and the Beastie Boys. That was like ingrained in you. And I love the Beastie Boys. I think they're so innovative, so incredible. And this record definitely was formative, as were the Beastie Boys. For my, you couldn't get in a car of any one of our friends without having the Beastie Boys on one of our mixtapes. It was just the way it was. All right, next. Pick an album that got you through a tough time in your life. Be as vulnerable as you like. Okay, well, this record came out, I want to say around 2000, 2000, 2001. I was in a very tough time in my life. Around that time, probably a year earlier, I had lost a very close friend in our friend group. She died very tragically. And it really shook me. It shook our whole community. It was very difficult. And this record came out, and it was about the time that I was starting to get more heavily into music myself with my guitar playing, take it more seriously. When a year or two later, I would decide to go to Berklee College of Music and really dedicate myself to it. But I was kind of meandering and not feeling so hot, and not knowing what I wanted to do. I was in college, but it wasn't Berklee, and I was just taking all sorts of junk classes and not knowing what I wanted in my life and whatever. And just. So I discovered this band probably a year or two earlier through the Allman Brothers Band, who I love very much. And this is a band called Government Mule. In this record in particular, The Deepest End. This is The Deepest End Volume 1. There's a Volume 2. Basically, the story with this record, and it's kind of interesting how it links, is they lost their bass player, Alan Woody, who died pretty tragically. And this record is full of bass players, famous bass players, people like Bootsy Collins and Mike Gordon and Roger Glover. The list goes on. You got to check the whole list. There's an amazing list of bass players that come and fill in. It's like a who's who of bass players. But there's one song in particular on this record that really got me through that time in my life and pretty much every other sort of difficult time. A song called Soul Shine. And in particular, the version, there's a million versions out there. This version is, in my mind, the definitive version. I love the version that is on this record in particular. It's got the best Rhodes sort of electric piano intro, goes into a big organ guitar solo intro. I love it so much. That song is, if you know that song, you know. And if you don't know that song, I highly encourage you to please go at least go stream it and check it out. It's just one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. Warren Haynes is one of my I have a few kind of Mount Everest people. Warren Haynes is definitely one of them. And he, for his guitar playing, his songwriting, his singing, I love Warren. And he's the one who's the leader of Government Mule. And yeah, that record is certainly something that I turn to in hard times and listen to a lot. And I saw them a lot in the 2000s. A lot. So that's definitely something that had got me through difficult times, which is really cool. Okay, pick an album that reminds you of someone alive or deceased that you deeply care about. So again, this was I had to think a little bit about this one, about which direction I wanted to go. What I ultimately decided to go was my parents. And my father passed away a little over a year ago now. And, that's obviously been very difficult. And, one thing that I did recently was I got this record before he passed away, and I'm glad I got to share the moment with him and my mother. So this record here, right? Harry Belafonte at Carnegie Hall. Okay, obviously this is not the copy I had when I was a kid that my parents had on their turntable system, but what I can tell you is this record was on so much in my childhood. We had this little off room from our living room where our turntable was, and the speakers kind of pointed right through the door into the living room. And like if we were like cleaning or something, or maybe if we were making food or just hanging out, whatever, the record that would come on more often than not was Harry Belafonte at Carnegie Hall. And what an incredible record it is. It's his voice, if you've heard it, if you've experienced it on that record in particular, the living stereo version is amazing. If you can find a clean copy, they are out there. You just got to really make sure you find a clean copy, and they're very, very cheap. But anyway, so that brings back so many memories. The music on here is playful but serious at times. There's like songs like Sylvie, songs like Side B's, like it's a little more kind of intense, going back to working slavery times, and he's got a lot of cultural songs like that. But then it gets pretty playful on the next record, where it says he does things like Mama Look a Boo Boo, and then he ends with like Shenandoah and Matilda. The Matilda is really great, and this is an Audionauts one step. This is a fantastic sounding record too. I mean, it's been a audiophile record for a long time, without me ever knowing that, until I started really getting into records. And then I saw this a few years ago. I saw this now, and I picked it up, and it's wonderful, really great edition. And it has an awesome book in it, so I was able to share this with my parents when they came over, probably a year or two ago, a couple of years ago now. But it has a great book, and it goes through. I didn't need to go over the recording stuff with them, but it did go over the story of the recording and how it came up and that kind of stuff. And it was good to share that with my parents, and they liked it too. I remember them sitting there and just being really wowed by how good it sounds, and it was just enjoyable. We sat down, we had a drink. The family was here. I don't know if it was Christmas maybe, or sometime we were getting together, and it was just a beautiful moment. And it was nice to share that with them, because that's definitely one that brings me back to them, and obviously care very much about them, and my dad, which is a great moment. Okay, cool. Next and the last one. Let's see what we got. Show an album of a genre you are not too fond of or familiar with, and explain why this specific album changed your perspective on the genre. And a couple of different ways I could have gone with this, but ultimately I went in the direction of country music. Okay, country music is not something that I'm into. It's not something that I necessarily have gone to or been drawn to, but the Atlantic 75 series, I want to do a little side note here. This is a way for me personally that vinyl records and record collecting and listening to music on vinyl and consuming music on vinyl has led me to explore things that I never would have explored. I mean, my record room is full of records that I would not have streamed. I would not have bought the CD. It's full of records like that that I got to want to explore deeper into a genre or deeper into the sound of something or hear how something was recorded and how it plays back on vinyl, because obviously the music means the most to all of us, but what I can say is for me, when I listen to records, the sound also does fascinate me because it's very different than anything else. It's very different than CDs. It's very different than streaming, and experiencing different genres on vinyl is part of what I love about vinyl. So I can tell you that I never would have bought this record. I never would have streamed it. I never would have experienced it if it wasn't for the Atlantic 75 of this record being released and me being like, wow, the rest of these Atlantic 75s have been so killer and really interest me a lot. I want to check it out. So I bought it, and I'm so glad I did because it's freaking amazing. Willie Nelson, Shotgun Willie. This is a 70s Willie record. This record is a pure, funky, rockin', sticky icky, awesome, just grooving record from beginning to end. And man, this record sounds unbelievable. And it's not like, it's country, but it's country that I didn't even know existed. And it's, that's on me for not knowing, for not doing the exploring. But what I'll tell you is that record is a proper funky, rockin'. I think of other genres kind of before I hear country in it. Willie's voice obviously brings it to that place, which is awesome. But it's given me a whole new perspective on that era, especially of country music that has that funky grooves in it. And now I realize that a lot of, kind of that classic outlaw country can have some of those elements in it, which I really love. So that's killer, and that's made me appreciate Willie. I've always appreciated Willie, but it made me, think about the genre a little differently too, and especially that era and those things that were happening. So there you have it. There's my vinyl tag to get you a little bit more information about the deep me, the real me that's in here. All right, I don't mind sharing with you guys. Right, it's all good. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Laura, for having a great vinyl tag with some great questions. It's really nice to answer questions that are personal and insightful. I enjoy that very much. I hope you guys did too. Please check out her channel. I'll link it in the description. All right. That is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.